everybody. We are here now for the last day of training program. Today we are lucky enough to have two experts from outside state. One is Dr. DB Shakiabad. He is currently director NINFET, National Institute of Research on this fiber. Earlier it was called NIRJA, Food Technology Institute. Now it has been renamed as NINFET. So he has been the director from last 1.5 years. Earlier he used to be a principal scientist in CSWR Vikanagar. That's also an ICR National Institute. There he's almost spent 20 years. Then he was director Uttar Pradesh Textile Technology Institute for 3 years. Then again he came back there as a principal scientist in Vikanagar. And recently, 1.5 years I believe, he joined NINFET as a director. We are lucky enough to be with him. He worked with us in the Agricultural Innovation Project from 2009 to 2014. Since then, we had been in contact with him, and we used to go Vikanagar. He used to come here. We had an exchange of knowledge, resources every time, and every time we invite him, and he comes to this institute. Now today he will be talking about enable accreditation of the laboratories. So इसमें क्या क्या चीज़ें क्या हैं, तो he will brief about this. Sir, we have a diverse group of participants. We have the stakeholders associated with the Pashmina processing and marketing. They are all educated youth. They are involved with export of the Pashmina products, manufacturing and other things. Their issues, there are so many. I believe you are in the meetings. जब भी आपकी मीटिंग्स होती है ना, ऑनलाइन मीटिंग होती थी जैसे मिनिस्टर टेक्सटाइल के साथ, ये द चेयरमैन ऑफ दैट कमिटी. व्हाटएवर क्वेश्चंस यू हैव, यू कैन आस्क हिम एंड डोंट लीव हिम विदाउट द रिड्रेसल. उनको छोड़िएगा नहीं रिड्रेसल के बगैर, बिकॉज अल्टीमेटली जो हम कल भी बात कर रहे थे ना, वो गार्ड हेयर वाला, शाहतूस वाला, तो ही इज अ पार्ट, बिकॉज इनकी से है वहाँ पे, तो ही कैन हेल्प यू इन दैट. जो भी आपकी क्वारीज हैं, यू कैन आस्क हिम. सो आपने जो भी मीटिंग्स वहाँ पे ऑनलाइन वगैरह अटेंड, उनमें हर एक मीटिंग में ये शामिल हुआ करते हैं. सर विदाउट वेस्टिंग, एक तो वो है सर. दूसरा हमारे को कुछ यहाँ पे हमारे नेशनल फैशन इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ फैशन टेक्नोलॉजी के बच्चे आए हैं. दे आर M.Tech स्टूडेंट्स देयर in different aspects of fashion technology, because Pashmina it is going to be a innovative thing now. That is with new designers, novel design, other things. So they are a part of our training program. So and then we have SKUAST. 3 बच्चे हमारे SKUAST के scholars हैं. बस हम we have kept majority of them are outside SKUAST. So sir, without wasting time, I straight away invite you to have it.
Thanks to the organizer, particularly university, who has given the opportunity to interact the gathering of the industry and from the students from here. Myself, Dr. DB Shakiabad, and presently heading one of the National Institute of Natural Fiber Engineering. So our institute dealing all the natural fibers. It may be plant-based or animal fiber based, and from production to the processing and other technologies. Although the production is another institute dealing, but extraction of the fibers from vast nature and their quality evolution, then processing, then value chain, supply chain management. And particularly I am associated with this university from 2009 onward. Under this NIT project was there. We have worked together for processing and value addition of Pashmina. Under that scheme, we have developed charkha, we have developed technology, particularly PCR-based technology for identification of Pashmina, and so many natural dyes process, optimization, and spinning. The nylon blending with the Pashmina, then making the yarn, that time itself is evolved, and it is further we have made good efforts for the value addition. So you people have been already gone through 4-day training. Under that, you have been given the exposure of different technologies of the spinning, weaving, and also dyeing, what I hope. Today we are discussing basically quality parameters, and one of our colleague, Dr. Kadam, will deal with the BIS standard for Pashmina identification. And since you know that is a big issue for the industry. Alteration from different fibers, alteration at different level, fiber level, then blending at the yarn and even dyeing. So many things are going on. But when we are talking about the quality, purity, so naturally there is a standard practice or standard protocol should be there. We should follow that one, at least prevent the allergies. And lot of discussion, lot of meetings has been held at different platforms, BIS, not only BIS, other platforms where this issue has been raised and discussion was. But there are certain infrastructure requirements, or which is not sufficient enough to provide certain certificates, that is the purity level or whatever the product we are making, that has some standards. Because of the whole industry is the cottage-based industry. It is a handmade, hand-operated. So the quality, sometimes it is not up to mark, because of when it is an industrial product, mill product, naturally the yarn evenness, then fabric evenness, production, everything is the standard for even dyeing. But when we are taking about as one of the handmade process, so variability is one of the important inherent, and that is our tradition. So we cannot leave the hand weaving or hand spinning or hand processing, because this is our strength. But as a standard, when we are talking about the export, naturally the origin, or particularly who are the taking our product, they are certain standard measurement, what type of this particular different type of test, and particular designated laboratories. In our country, we are facing that acute situation or shortage of standard laboratories. Although we have, earlier we do not have standard protocol also. So with the support of the you people from the industry, from the academics, from the other commerce people, we came develop a standards for the Pashmina processing, Pashmina product. It may be fiber level, how to, and then what is the different process. But still there are no agency where you can test, give the certificate, or the certificate produced by any of the institution that is internationally accepted. It is still lacking. we can test our institute like Avikanagar or this institute can give the test result, but those results are not valid at international level. So this is the certain situations where we have to deal with, and that is important role of coming from NAVL, National Accreditation Board for Laboratories, and that board, national level board, provide the certificates or provide the one of the certificate that particular lab is having the standards and it is a recognized lab which produce the test result that is acceptable at any of the country. It is international. So that's why I thought it is a right time to provide certain input to the stakeholders. What is the standard? What type of lab is required? And where we are lacking and how we can improve upon, and we have to stress for that lacuna. Because if we understand we have the lacuna, although we have the national level laboratories, but still we do not have certification of NAVL which is accepted at international level. So for your kind information, our institute, it is the National Institute on Natural Fiber Engineering and Technology from last 85 years. But our institute was also not recognized institution by NAVL. But from last 1.5 years, we have made a good progress, and at present, this year in the month of July, we got a certification from the NAVL. Now our lab, our institution is recognized by the NAVL, and whatever the test we have doing, they are accepted at international level. So we are going for just actually what is the national framework for that kind of the lab? So national quality infrastructure and international linkage. Actually, this is the important phenomena when we are talking about quality. So national quality infrastructure means it is a framework where all the quality parameters, whatever the quality you want to judge, so that should be certified a third agency. Or third agency may be some, it is other than the any of the, so third means whatever the test you are carrying out, so it will be verified by the third person. So whatever we are doing, it should be verified by third agency, which give the, okay, what is the result we are producing in our lab. They are the confirming the as per the requirement, as per the standards, what the standard we are meeting. So if you see here, so there are 5 parameters. So first of the, when we are talking any of the laboratory, so laboratory is the one of the lab which has standard conditions. Means if you are testing any of the our Pashmina product, so that product has certain properties, and those properties are changing with the temperature as well as the humidity. There are 2 important parameters. Although there are many we will discuss, but as a laboratory, atmospheric conditions, these are very specific, and that should be maintained at standard conditions. For textile purpose, standard condition temperature should be 21 or 27, actually 27 for our country. So 27 degrees centigrade temperature should be maintained in the laboratory, and the humidity should be 65 RH. So this is the basic parameter which need to be established by third agency. Okay, we are telling, okay, we are maintaining this condition, but it is not sufficient enough what I am telling. It is so some third party should give the certification that laboratory where they established, it has maintaining these two primary requirements for textile material. That is the temperature and humidity. If these two are not meeting, one cannot say this is the standard international level. So that's why it is metrology is one of the important factor for the any of the laboratory when you are where you are going to test. So when you are going to test your product, you must know the credibility of that lab. That laboratory has certification to certify our product for the international level or not. They say, okay, this stand, that thing, that whatever the parameter are, they are dying or, but that laboratory has a certification of that, he can give the certificate such type or not. So that's why it is a very much important. And then testing. Again, when we are going for any testing, so there are three things are required in testing. Method, standard, there should be standard method, like BIS, one of the agency, which prescribe method. So that's why we are talking about BIS standard, BIS method. So they have every sector-wide textile and mechanical, chemical. There are so many fields, this area. And in that also different subsections, like for wool we are talking about wool and woolen textile. So I am chairing of that session. So that particularly again have the number of tests for different for fiber fineness, fiber strength and fiber parameter, then dyeing, spinning, count. So many standards are there. So each and every test is governed by our BIS standard. So for testing, standard method is the one of the important criteria. If you are or any of the lab not following standard method prescribed by the BIS, it cannot be taken as a standard practice or standard certification agency for the international. So method is the important. And then coming to another thing, which is very, very important, that the equipment, whatever the equipments are there, they should be standard make, standard calibration, standard, there are AMCs, regular, their maintenance, and then competent manpower. So if there are manpower engaged, they are not competent enough to interpret the proper result. They are not having the qualified engineer, qualified laboratory, qualified scientist, they cannot give the proper certification. So at least for any of the laboratory, three things are required. We will discuss in detail. First the method, standard method, then equipments, and then manpower. Then come to accreditation. So if all these things are there, metrology is there, then testing parameters or testing materials is there, then accreditation. Then come who is accredited. So there are some accredited agencies. NABL, one of the national agencies which provide the accreditation. So all over the country, NABL provide a certification to the different lab. It may be public sector, it may be from private, and like you see the hospitals, actually where we are across coming, so hospital certifications are also there national level, so they have the standard practice of the and other sector also. So accreditation provided by NABL, there are certain criteria we will discuss in detail. Then standardization and finally certification. So these are the basic criteria where we have to meet the requirement of our product of standard level. These are the international, actually ISO is one of the international agencies which gives the, make the standards process, and most of the countries follow ISO. Apart from there are different other ILAC, IF, Codex, so different end-user applications. So some other standards are there, but in our process, NABL is having integrated part of ISO. So now first actually what we have discussed, meteorology, structure and area. So meteorology again, if you see, not only that was I told one of the important two parameter. Another important, where this we take the any of the measurement. Measurement means any of the length, weight, time. So that unit also is having the meteorological standards, and for that, and National Physical Laboratory or BARC, IILM, these are the our institutions which provide reference material. Reference material, for example, if we are taking the weight should be standard. And for that, we have to calibrate our weight with the standard laboratory. So only those institutions, those agencies who have been certified or having the certificate from NABL for calibration, for those, they are entitled to calibrate your weight, like 1 kg, 2 kg, whatever the weight we are using in the laboratory, it may be grams or any valence. So that should be having proper certification for calibration. Because if there are any deviation from a standard, whole your experiment or result will differ. So from the very beginning, apart from the conditions, so the weight, one of the primary, when we are taking any of the process of the standard or making the test, so generally we take the chemicals. So chemical standards, weight is not there, naturally that things will change, parameter will differ. So standard weight should be there, and then standard protocol, what is the error is there, so it should be permissible here, error. And another way, generally we are using the meter, actually length. So length measurement also, because of any of the scale, it varies with the temperature. Generally we are using metal scale or like that. So that scale with the change of the temperature, the same scale may give the different reading at Srinagar, and same scale if we will go to the some other like Rajasthan, where the temperature is 40 degree centigrade difference, so that will differ. So the standard laboratory, they have the standard materials. So validation will be done through standard practices. Other government and private accredited lab, this is secondary standards. This is the basic or reference material is provided by them. Other government and private who are the getting the accreditation, so they can also permit it to make the calibrations of any of the equipments, and then laboratory working standard, like already mentioned, working standard should be there. So now I want to define what is the accreditation. I think very clear term, third party attestation. So when we are going for any of the institution or organization, so we have to see what is the standard practice going on. So the standard practice, it should be on the record. It should be the what standard you are following, that should have the manuals, SOPs, any of the laboratory when we are talking. So first of all, what is the SOP one has to follow. So SOP also having some standard, what the SOP are following, and that the standard. So what a third party will come. So first see what is your standard, what is your SOP, where the equipment it is properly calibrated or not. So accreditation means third party attestation related to conformity assessment body conveying the formal demonstration of its competence. So in general, what the laboratory is to be attested or verified for their competency. Competency in terms of the infrastructure, what equipments or manpower to carry out the specific community assessment task. For example, now at today's discussion, we are taking the one of the important tasks of the Pashmina testing. Pashmina fiber property, yarn property, fabric property. So for those tests, for those parameters, any of the lab which has to be crediting and taking the, okay, we are doing the test. So it should be tested by a third party. So third party assessment is the one of the important, and that is the accreditation. Now accreditation process. So standard procedure has been prescribed by BIS. So that criteria or that is called ISO or IEC 17025. So this is the standard, specific standard developed by BIS. It is accepted at international level, ISO. And that standard have prescribed each and everything from the what should be the material, what should be the instrument, what should be the man, and how, what is the, under which condition it should be accepted. So this procedure by which one authoritative bodies like NABL give formal recognition to the particular lab or person is competent to carry out the specific task. That is called scope. For example, our institute dealing with the natural fiber, in particular jute. So jute sector, first primary important criteria for grading. Like Pashmina also have grade different like fineness and like. So jute have the grade system, grading system. There are 4 or 5 grades are there, 5 grades, and then there are fiber fineness, tax value, then strength, color, and there are root content, some other parameters are there. So that standard we are following, and for those, if we are claiming that our lab is giving the certification or testing of these jute grades, so we have to take it as a scope. So our institute scope providing the grade of the jute grading. So that is called is the scope. In this institute, if they are taking the Pashmina identification, so Pashmina identification will be one of the scope of that laboratory. For example, we have give the certification for the this fabric quality. So naturally, the scope of the laboratory is the fabric quality, like yarn quality. Yarn quality, there are 3-4 parameters. Fabric quality have certain parameters. So the scope should be properly defined. It is not general nature. If I am telling, okay, this fabric quality. So fabric quality have many parameters. So one has to define what those parameters which is the under scope, like strength, the elongation, end fix, thickness, weight. If 5 parameters, then it should be defined 5 parameters. So that is called scope of that lab. The criteria already I mentioned, and assure the client that procedures and test results are technically valid. So it gives the validity of those tests and recognize the technical competence. Again, I told manpower, particularly manpower. So that person is the technically qualified. They know the proper process, understand interpretation. Because of sometimes it does not mean machine is giving some result. It is a right or wrong. Some machine may be faulty or something. So the particularly technical person should have the technical competence to enough to provide the insight of what the results are got. Then endorse the laboratory, they operates and management system. Here, when the laboratory is recognized and being recognized, so the whole thing is governed by the management. So a particular quality manager or chief executive officer or some who are the called technicians, they are the operators. So they have some standard nomenclature and they are authority. They have given the authority by NABL and all the records, their service record, their competency, their qualification, and they have provided the NABL. The NABL keep the record. If there are somebody changing in between, that should be immediately informed to the NABL. This person has been transferred or something like that, and another person is taking place of that, so he should be qualified or not. And moreover, who are in the framework of this, he or she should have take the training, 4-day training, that is the training for ISO 17025. This is for that purpose itself, there are trainings required, and that training is the mandatory. If the person does not have that certificate, he or she cannot be part of the management system. So this is the essentiality required. Now certification. So certification, it is in general you can say it is a certificate. So the procedure by this third party give the certificates, and that was as per the ISO 9001, and does not confer technical credibility in the test result, and but international standards applicable like ISO 17025, 1700, 1000, then ISO 15189 for medical laboratory particularly. So we are dealing here particularly on the ISO 17025 because of we are dealing with the general requirement of competence of testing and calibration laboratories. Others are doing some other like general purpose ISO this thing, and 15189 for medical testing. Medical. So these are the international NABL is a signatory of the Asia Pacific Laboratory Accreditation Cooperation APAC Mutual Recognition Arrangement MRA, and International Laboratory Accreditation Corporation ILAC and MRA. So there are international bodies. So we have the agreement between the NABL and some other agency. So they are giving the equal importance, or they are recognizing each other. So these are the some international arrangement at where this NABL exists. Now come to the importance. Why we want to accreditation? Actually, it is general questions. So when we want to provide or launch a product in the commercial product in the market, so we have some standards follow, like what is our quality of the product, any quality. It may be your quality of the salt itself, what is the length, what is the width, what is the thickness, what is the weight, and even small thing, yield specs, these are also very much important. So global acceptance of the report. So whatever the quality you are producing, that should have some report, and that report should be acceptable in what test from 2 different laboratories, and how we can say which test is right. So if it is tested by any of the NABL accredited laboratory, we do not require second test. Otherwise, what happens? We cannot this result is not, it is not favoring me, it is not what we like, it is rejected, you should go for another this lab. So how we can say which lab is giving the confirmatory result at a standard level which cannot be challenges. If any of the result, any of the test, if it is challenged, then there are no question of the identity. So when the test is being carried out by NABL accredited lab, so nobody can challenge. No authority in the country or in any globally who can challenge those results, because of it is certified and it should be valid certification. That does not mean because of NABL having very rigorous system. So initially they will give the certificate. After 6 months they will again audit or the whole system at different level. And if again after 1 year their team will come, and the team also changing. It is not like that who has given the certificate at first level, same will come. No. The second time another team will come. Third time again another team come. So there are no chance of having the understanding between two assessor. So assessor will change. So they have the very well established system where this, and everything is online now at present. No personal communication where our result, and everything is go, and online they will put, they analyze and give the certification. So moreover, they improves the staff motivation. Motivation means what he has confidence. Whatever the result he is producing, it have the acceptability at different level and international. So that gives the motivation and authority system. Ensures better support and in the event of legal challenge. So most of the cases, legal challenge, like when we are talking about any or Pashmina product, they have some customs problems, something here and there. So if the certification from any well-accredited laboratory, so there are no legal issues, and each and legal agency, they accept those results because of it is internationally level accepted. Better control of the laboratory operations. So it is a mandatory, each and everything you have to control, whatever that data producing day to day. Today from the 10 to 5 what is the working life, so you have to give the detail of the temperature, detail of the humidity, so, and daily records should be presented and kept as a record. Anytime third party will come and see the what is your record, the particular, like for example, sometime we are not having the very particular, our conditions are maintained or not, but it is a third party assessment. So it is responsibility of management, responsibility of laboratory who are the controlling, or like one of the quality manager. So their duty is that, if otherwise they are, particularly those person will be responsible, and any of the they can deregulate. Actually they will not give the any of warning. If the any level it is not maintained, they will derecognize the laboratory immediately. So there are many parameters we will discuss. Then ensure the better support of the, save the money of the getting right at the first time. Better control of laboratory operations, improve staff confidence, enhance customer confidence. When any certification from the any well-accredited lab, that give the customer confidence. So customers are satisfied. And finally, so here actually just last slide we have shown the quality control of India. This is one of the agency which governs, and NABL one of the agency, then NABH, then these are different other organizations. Now coming to the, which is very much important, we will whole our lecture will be emphasized on this general requirement, structural resources requirement of ISO 17025. That is standard has developed during the 2017. This is the standard, and this standard gives each and everything. So scope, the document specifies the general requirement of the competency, impartiality. Now this term has came, impartiality. Impartiality means we have to give the certificate. Two certificates are very important, confidentiality and impartiality. So whatever the sample will come for each of employee or management, they will get the certificate. We will not have any of the partiality to any of the agency or any of the organization. Whatever the sample will come, it will be blind and properly coding will be there, and it will follow the route, and the result will be provided in the standard documentation format, and there was no partiality. So partiality should be maintained. Another thing, confidentiality. So whatever the process, whatever the sample, whatever the result, so we should not pass those results to other than the customer. If the customer is some as, we cannot provide the result of third one. This is the confidentiality, because if we have the one customer, so it is a agreement between the customer, between the lab. So whatever the sample will come, the whole result will be provided to the only customer without his written permission. The laboratory cannot provide the result to any of the third party. So that is the confidentiality maintained by the laboratory. These are the, if anything is found during the process, then the particular laboratory will be guilty and that laboratory will be punished. So that is the legality. So document applicable to all the organization performing laboratory activities, whatever different laboratory, maybe electrical, mechanical, civil, textile, there are many numbers. So it is applicable everywhere where this testing is done. It may be electrical equipments, so testing is done. Similarly, now we are talking about here Pashmina. So Pashmina testing is done, so that applicable to this. Laboratory customers, regulatory authorities, organization and schemes use of peer assessment, accreditation body and other use of document is confirming the or recognizing competency of the laboratory. So in whole, this ISO 17025 provide a document which gives a certification of the competency of that lab. Because of if the lab is not competent, so they have no right to provide certificate. So from all 3-4 angles, whatever different I told, man, material and laboratory infrastructure, this should have the standard practices. So these are the definition already have a, like this compatibility, complaint, inter-laboratory comparison. Actually, this is the one terminology will come in future. Inter-laboratory comparison is like when we are talking about only standard, like we are giving the fiber fineness. So fiber fineness, whatever the sample is provided, and we are testing. So it should be tested with the at least 4-5 laboratories, and same the result of our laboratory, it's similar to the other 4-5. So there should not be deviation within the certain tolerance limit there. That is the important, and within this tolerance limit they are accepted. If the result of 3 different labs is different, that means your laboratory does not meet the requirement of interlaboratory comparison. So interlaboratory comparison is very much important, and sometimes interlaboratory is not there. For example, Pashmina testing. So Pashmina is the only very specific laboratory, and it does not have number of laboratories in the country. In that case, interlaboratory, within the laboratory, you can give the test. So for that, within the laboratory, 2 or 3 groups of the technicians who can operate machine. So the testing between these technicians or who are the operators, they should match. So that could be accepted. Only special case where there are no, in the country, there are no laboratory available which give the similar type of testing. Otherwise, the test will be accepted only having the different laboratory in the different labs. So whatever you are claiming or you want to take the for laboratory as a recognition, so those scope, those tests will be, you will provide the samples and then they will test, and then all that comes together, then you provide the comparison, and after comparison you submit the result, and if there are variation, they will not accept. So they have some standard. And another way, proficiency testing. So here, it is a reverse. Reverse means whatever you want to under scope, you want to keep this particular test. Like for example, strength of the material or strength of the Pashmina. So you want to test the strength of Pashmina. So whatever you will ask for the NABL, and NABL has recognized some certain labs, and they have prescribed the lab. If that test is carrying out by any of the laboratory, so they have the another 4 or 5 laboratories similar kind. So they will accept your this test. Then only then they will prepare the sample, and they will send their own sample to the different laboratory, including your laboratory. So the particular lab which is having the proficiency testing lab, so that is the nodal, and he has particular lab have 3-4 laboratory recognized. So one sample will be drawn, and that same sample sent to the 3-4 laboratory, and same sample sent to you also. So after testing, all samples from the 4 laboratories will reach there, and they will analyze, and they will see your testing is matching with the others or not. Your testing vary, so naturally they will reject, and you will fail in the proficiency testing. So again you have to see the how, then you will again apply for that. Then laboratory, their calibrations, I have already mentioned, any equipment, it should be calibrated. It's by standard process, by standard agency. For example, even this glass contains 200 ml water, means it has same capacity, so that should be measured. Otherwise you cannot use this glass for any of your testing equipment. Even pipette, test tubes, or any other chemicals, even chemicals. So chemicals also required to be properly calibrated, or standard chemical having the standard what is the purity level. So any of the chemical you are using in the lab, it should have the particular certificate, what kind of the purity is there. So only certain labs are there which give the certificate along with the chemical. They provide a certificate of purity, those, and that is accepted by the NABL. Those chemicals will be taken into account in your testing laboratory. Then decision rule. And decision rule always, actually it is well known when we are taking any of the playing game. So the decision rule should be framed initially. What is our accepted level, what is the rejection level? Generally what happens when we are taking the test, like purity test itself. So purity, at what stand it will be accepted? 2%, 3% impurity is accepted or not? So that rule should be framed initially. It is not like that by face. Actually this particular customer, it is a same, that 2% it is a pass, and somebody is having less than 1%, that is a fail. So decision rule should be framed in advance, then only they will provide the accreditation of that. So decision rule is very, very much framed in advance, and that will be documented, and that document itself say, okay, 2% alteration is accepted, so it is a pass. If it is a more than 2%, fail. Within that 2%, so that kind of the decision rule should be framed properly, and that should be properly recorded in your laboratory manuals. Verifications. So that is also our laboratories has required every quarterly to verify their test methods. It is not like that the sample will come and we will just test. No. So in between, it is a duty of the management who provide the verifications of in different intervals. And mostly it is a scheduled time. So they will, manager or whoever the chief executive officer, he will provide the sample, unknown sample to the lab and get tested and then verify it. Our results are falling in the same whatever that we are thinking, or we are providing standards and according or not. And finally it is a validation. So on the basis of the result by verification, and one can validate. So now I will in detail impartiality, where the impartiality comes from and what are the safeguards. So impartiality, management commitment to impartiality. So first of all, it is coming from the top. If top people is not impartial, naturally it is very difficult to put in the ground level. Because of if your boss is telling, no, ये वाला customer को pass कर दो. So what is then you have the in the mind how I can, it is not falling and it is a deviation of 10%, how I can say, but top कह रहे नहीं, इसको pass करना है. तो यहाँ पर जो the first level, the management is commitment is, they should have the very much impartial. If they are not impartial, I think it's very difficult to pass same impartiality at lower level. So that start from there. Then laboratory shall not allow commercial, financial, any transactions, compromise. So that actually everybody understand under the curtain what is sometime happening. So that should be avoided because of it is a question of the quality. It is a question of our commitment, question of our recognition. So the laboratory is assigned at a national level recognition. So they have certain things or moral or ethics to be in the ground. So laboratory shall identify risk. Actually, again, question is coming for management. There are some risk also. As I am a director of the institute. I feel I am honest. I am giving the full impartiality. But in our system, there are 20, 25, 100 people are there, and at least 20 people are working in the labs, different labs. So we have to have some vigilant system. So within this 20%, how they are working, what is their integrity. So that should be taken into care, and that kind of like where the commercial type of undertaking और फाइनेंशियल लाइक आप सैंपल दे दो, मैं रिपोर्ट दे दूंगा, क्योंकि वो कमर्शियल हमें चाहिए, हमें सैंपल हम रिपोर्ट जैसा चाहोगे दिस इज द कमर्शियल ट्रांजेक्शन. एंड समटाइम पैसा लेकर के भाई ठीक है एक सैंपल टेस्ट करना है, आप अलग से जो भी करना है हिसाब किताब करो. सो दैट काइंड ऑफ सिस्टम शुड नॉट बी कंप्रोमाइज्ड विद द impartiality. So that is our impartiality meaning. And there a risk is there, so we have to take the risk management in between. We have to test, so we have to check. Some person is having such type of the things, and I know that one of the example from LPT Kanpur, when I was director, I came to know there are one of the employee, he was inducted such type of things, and custom department, they are sending the sample, and custom department between some middlemen, he came contact with our testing laboratory man. What happened? They have provided 100 of certificate, forged certificate, wrong by this signature is itself made by same person, farzi sign kar diya, and report has been produced. Number of reports, and then when complaint came to me, then I was surprised. The person who was in the lab, he was doing all the things. There are so many things happened. So such type things should be avoided, and that check and balance should be there, and the rotational policy should be there. After the same person should not be kept in same places. That should be changed. Or there are some management system that has to be Then again I have discussed with the confidentiality. So confidence is also important. Like I mentioned, third party, naturally one of the very confidential matter. So laboratory shall be responsible through legal enforcement, commitment for the management of all information obtained or created during the performance of laboratory activity. Whatever laboratory activity is going on, they should confidential. So that's why when sample reaches to the section where the first section is the sample where they received, from there itself confidentiality maintained, because where sample is received, their coding will be there. So one should not know the firm's name or who is the customer. Only code should go beyond that boundary, and then testing will be done, the report will be prepared accordingly, the test report, and finally at the back end, the report of the then customer name. So customer name should not be circulated along with the sample. So sample should have the code, and then testing, and that after test result, then decoding, then customer reporting. So that procedure should be adopted. So laboratory shall inform the customer in advance of the information if intend to place is public domain. For any of the reason, if it is required. Okay, I want to share your result to any third party or public or some advertisement, something like that. So it is our duty to take the permission from the customer. Your result, your data, I am sharing with the third party. So if permission is there, then naturally you can do. Like we know that in the publication plagiarism like that. So when the laboratory is required to be law or authorize the contractual arrangement to release the confidential information, customer or individual consent shall be very important unless prohibited by law. So this is the about. Now come to the structural requirement. I told any of the laboratory have some structure, and for that laboratory have some location, some identity, like this institute or university have some identity. So some identity certifications are there, some source of the now each and every have the Aadhaar card. So every person have the identity and Aadhaar card. Similarly, organization have some PAN card or something like that. So that is the identity where the address of the person, registration number have. These are the some of the identity. So the laboratory shall have personnel who irrespective of other responsibility, having authority and resource need to carry out their duties, and including the infrastructure, so implementation, maintenance and improvement of management system. So management is the one of the important. Then identification of deviation from the management system, what I told in between, that any change is there. So that should be come to in the notice of the anywhere. Immediately, if somebody transferred, naturally other person, that should be immediately put the record and inform to the agency, this is the change has been made. So initiation of actions or preventive or minimize such deviation. So first duty, it should be avoided in between. If it is not possible because of any retirement or any transfer, so naturally or somebody giving the resign. So these are the risks. So we have to take care. Ensuring the effectiveness of laboratory activity, and laboratory management should ensure communication take place regarding the effectiveness of the management system and the importance meeting customer and other requirements. So here, a team spirit, a team is important, because of one man cannot run this annual accredited laboratory. Because of here, the different roles are there, impartiality is there, one person may be impartial, and for that at least 3 persons should be there. One person is the laboratory level, then quality manager, and then chief executive officer. So 3 persons in the laboratory, they should be different person, and same person does not have the, I am also having the laboratory, I am also quality control manager, I also the chief executive. So that cannot be accepted by the norms of the anywhere. So at least 3-4%, minimum 3% is required, and any number of depend on the laboratory and scope. The scope is big, 4-5 laboratory, naturally the number of people will be large, and if it is a small laboratory, at least 3% is required. Chief executive officer, that is signatory, then quality control manager, and then third laboratory level, so operators. So the integrity of the management system is maintained when the change in the management system are planned. So it is a emphasize the integrity when you are inducting any of the new. So integrity of that person has to be well tested. It does not have the that a very new person does not have the credential, and immediately he entered and making the trouble. So that will make that trouble to the laboratory. So these things are required. Resource requirement in general, like laboratories shall have the available personnel, facilities, equipment, system, support services, and to manage and perform the laboratory activities. So person of the laboratory, technicians, either internal or external. Similarly, laboratory shall document the competency. So the person should have the well qualified, at least graduate level. What, like if it is having the chemical laboratory, so naturally he should have know the name of the chemicals, name of the process, and interaction between the chemicals. So graduate level or postgraduate level, the minimum requirement should be there. It does not having the well qualified, and he or she cannot be part of the accredited laboratory. So laboratory shall document the competency requirement of each function influencing result. So it is very much emphasized, and the result should be one of our outcome or output. That should not be influenced by any of the, so the manager and the technical person or material or the chemical using equipment. So that should be very much standard. There are no compromise on that. The management of laboratory shall communicate to the person their duty, responsibility, and each and everything should be defined in your manual. Certain person, this person having that these are duties, and the laboratory or chief executive का role क्या है? Role of each and every person who are associated particular that lab should have the identified well in advance. So again, it is emphasizing personals, and these are the very specific requirement of that document. It is well printed. Whenever you are, any of the person can set up that kind of laboratory. And I think this university or this division of the LPT division, they are making the standard laboratory, and they have to get the accreditation from anywhere. Then only they can serve the state or country for the activities. Otherwise, okay, we can provide the certificate, but that certificate is not valid at international level. So again, the personal determination of competence requirement, selection of the person, how it is selected, training of the personnel. Person has been well trained, he has got trained ISO 9000, ISO 17025 or not. Then supervision, authorization, usko authorization करना है या नहीं करना है. So all these things are required. Laboratories have authorized personnel to perform specific laboratory activity, including but not limiting, like development, modification, validation of methods. So he or she is responsible for these. So annual development and analysis of result, including statement of conformity or opinion. Because of when we are going for the any of the this lab, testing lab of like blood testing. So after testing, the certificate is given. आपका जो बीपी हाई है, बीपी नहीं पर्टिकुलरली जो ब्लड का सैंपल्स होता है ना, शुगर और ये सारी चीज़ें होती हैं, तो उसमें जो डॉक्टर साइन करता है, ही हैज एक्सपर्ट, ही गिव द ओन ओपिनियन और उसके बाद कहता है कि नहीं क्लिनिकल ट्रायल से इसको होना चाहिए. So the person getting the signatory है, he should have that kind of competence. He should prescribe, okay, further testing or further medicines and what type of this thing. Similarly, in our lab, he should have prescribed, okay, it is a pass or fail, or some inference should be drawn. Like if it is strength is there, so it is not matching, then what should be reason? He can define and give some reason. Then report and review the authorized result. So these are things are required as a personnel. Facilities, environment, conditions, already I mentioned. I think it is not much required time to consume. Then facilities and environmental conditions, this is 6.3.4. Measures control facility, already mentioned. Prevention of contamination, interference or adverse influences, laboratory activities, access to and use of area of affecting laboratories, this effective separation between areas. So these are the some locations where laboratory performs laboratory activity at site. Sometimes what happens? Some of the laboratories do not have particular equipment or machinery, or in between some shutdown is there. So the agency or laboratory can take the support from third laboratory also. But they have to define, they have to specify, okay, due to this region, we are taking the help or support from the other laboratory also. So that is possible. Now to the equipment. Now actually if you see the whole testing system, equipment is one of the key area apart from the man. So key in the sense equipment give the result, and equipment should have the standard level, and it should have properly calibrate, or it should have proper maintenance. So that is that checkpoint, and that is very much required. So laboratory shall have access of equipment for the, it may be measurement equipment, it may be standards, reference material, so many things are there that is required for correct performance of laboratory activity. So whatever the activities are to be performed by the laboratory, that should have the equipment should be. When the laboratory uses equipment outside its permanent control, it should also ensure that requirement of equipment of the document are made. So whatever the requirement is there, and that has to be certified at that laboratory also meet the what the requirement is required under this. So laboratory shall have verified that equipment conforms the specificity requirement before being placed or returned to the service. Sometime what happen? Your instrument or machinery may be down, actually some problem. So immediately you have to mention this instrument is non-function state, and after repair or maintenance, when it is a function, then immediately you have to maintain record after on such and such date that equipment is then under operation and it is giving the result. And along with certification, because of it, shutdown is there, any breakdown was there. So after breakdown, what the corrective measure has been taken, what then calibration was done or not, and it is a properly results are giving there. So before that, you have again confirm the results, verify the result are giving the same or not. So after calibration, then you can again induct that instrument in the activities. So the measuring equipment shall be calibrated when the measurement accuracy or measurement uncertainty affect the validity of the report results. So uncertainty actually, it is a one term, it is a very big topic. Actually, we cannot talk here. Uncertainty of the particular equipment is one of the limited. And each and every equipment has some uncertainty. That is, you can say error. So what is the accepted error? That should be defined and that should be documented. For example, if we are taking the measurement of length, so length in the centimeter, So at what level it is acceptable? 2 centimeter, 2.1 or 2.11 or 2.113. So at what decimal level that could be accepted? So that should be pre-decided, and accordingly you can say this equipment this is the measurement uncertainty, and that kind of the error is accepted. So if it is a well defined, then only you can say it is within the limit. If it is beyond that error, it is a difference is coming beyond the uncertainty, I think you can say okay, this is the beyond the there are error in the not in through system, it is due to the sample. So the measuring equipment shall be calibrated when this calibration of the equipment is required to establish meteorological traceability of the report result. Now one term is coming here, traceability. So traceability means whatever you are making calibration, so that has the chain, complete chain. So from like I told one thing, National Physical Laboratory. So National Physical Laboratory, they are providing the reference material for physical test. So each and every equipment, it may be generally it is either weight or either strength or some kind of this. So that whatever your calibration is done, so calibration should be done only those agencies or those laboratories who are the giving the authorized calibration laboratory who had authority from the NABL. So NABL ensures the traceability of the same that laboratory from there. So in that way it is a complete check. So each and every laboratory is interlinked, and other than any of the laboratory, if they are not following not conformity of the as per NABL, this should not be part of that. It may be chemical, it may be equipment, it may be any reference material. So that should be ensured. So laboratory has very much important. Laboratory shall establish calibration programs. So each and every instrument have the schedule. So after 1 year or after 2 years, the calibration say according to the equipment, they will give the calibration after 2 years or after 1 year. There are two things are generally. So some of the instrument they can give the calibration for 2 years. So after 2 years, they should before termination of that, you should have ensured that your system has been calibrated. Otherwise, after this expiring period, your equipment not valid, and your test report will be not valid for that. So you have to, if it is in any case, if it is not done, so then you have to say our equipment out of order, or then breakdown you have to show. And after the calibration, again you can take that equipment and take the part. So all equipment require calibrations, and when intermediate check. So I have already mentioned intermediate check you have to carry out within the laboratory. So that check should be also required to be, because of some time due to the some of the other reason equipment may be fail, some change in the readings. So intermediate checks are also required by the lab. When the calibration and reference material data include the reference values and correction factor, if it is any change, then correction factor will be provided and you can include that one. So it is a continuous, it is very large number. So finally, the identity of equipment including software, that is important. Manufacturer name and type is important. Verification in evidence of culpability, it is very important. Then in which current location, kahan par hai, calibration data, documentation of reference material, maintenance plan. Because of you have the whole laboratory, each and every equipment should have well planned maintenance schedule. So after 3 months, 6 months, that equipment will be under AMC. So there are pimento measurement. All AMC annual maintenance contracts होते हैं, वो एक प्रिवेंटो में होते हैं, वो बीच में 3 महीने में आएंगे, आपके इक्विपमेंट को टेस्ट करेंगे एंड देखेंगे योर इक्विपमेंट फंक्शनिंग वेल और नॉट, एक सर्टिफिकेट देके जाएंगे. So AMC should be very much important for the equipments. So meteorological traceability I already mentioned, so I think it is not much required in detail. So externally provided product. So already mentioned, you can laboratory can take the support from other agency also, but laboratory should give the in advance documentation, make that documentation. Due to this reason, due to breakdown of our equipment, we are taking the facility of certain laboratory, and that laboratory should also have the calibrated properly and under the NABL accredited lab. Then only you can take the service of third laboratory in your person, particularly outsourcer. So I think so this is a very large subject, but within 1 hour compiling it is difficult. But the document is well defined. If somebody want to get the training for NABL accreditation for 17025, they can contact BIS at this training center at Delhi. They provide 4-day training online also, as well as also through residential campus. So they will give the complete, and that person after getting the certificate from there, the person have the right or have the certification, he could be part of any of the NABL accredited lab. So thank you very much for listening. Because it is a very new subject, I think it is very less discussed in different forum.
Sir. Okay, thank you, sir. We are highly thankful, Dr. Shakiabad. He briefed about the NABL accreditation, and to inform you people and even Dr. Shakiabad also knows that we are in a process of accreditation of our laboratory right now, and we have processed our case because it will take at least 1 year, say 6 months, 8 months, 10 months, depending upon how your lab is well set, उसका setup कैसा है. तो we have already applied for the accreditation purpose program, and in fact that will be done, and it was very informative. Even I was not knowing about the criteria what have been set by the NABL for accreditation of any laboratory. So we will also come to know about that during our accreditation process. That I told that it will take around 6 to 8 months. Now for completion, we have initiated a process, but it will take around 6 to 8 months for completion of the process, because they will come here, they will see our laboratory, what are the standards there. They will refer some agency who will calibrate our equipment. They will then that those manuals have to be prepared. Then they will see check our equipment, what kind of equipments we have, protocol हम कौन सा follow करते हैं. And if changes are required, they will suggest us what kind of changes you are supposed to do. One is they will be satisfied. Then they will issue some. They will refer that to, and they will recommend. उसके बाद then they will issue the certificate. Enable accredited laboratory. Then our laboratory will enable accredited laboratory. Inshallah, hopefully, we hope that the laboratory will be accredited and our test result will be accepted all over the globe for the purpose, because people come to us with the certification of purity of them. Right now, we are dealing with the purity, not with the contraband items, other things, but for the purity purpose. Once we will certify that that is a pure Pashmina product, then it will be globally accepted. So that was the topic about what Dr. Shakiabad briefed us about how we will accredit the thing, how we will go for the accreditation. Thank you, sir, for coming here all along from Kolkata to meet our Pashmina entrepreneurs and our students. Thank you once again. So we would like to have this is a Chinarli handicraft work, walnut, then wood carving, all from Kashmir. So